Good afternoon. Friday at noon.
Friday at noon. I like that.
Yeah, Friday at noon with these two. I'm excited. I'm excited all the time. I don't know. Do I have to work on that? Is that like
No, we're so honored and thrilled that that everybody's joined us again today. Like this is backed by popular demand to have a conversation with Dr. Mike Doxtater and Grandma Renee Hill. And I like how you put on there Uncle Mike. Uncle Mike is our uncle, and Grandmother Renee is our grandmother. And so welcome. Do you want to say anything, Jody? I know that we want them just to take over the show. But welcome everyone, and welcome to our guests as well.
what I'd like to say just before I hop in the back room, because I'm taking care of technology today, so I've been working with him the last couple of days. But what I'd like to just acknowledge is for all of the teachers that have been messaging Grandmother's Voice, so very grateful that you have found us and that we have found you and we've connected. This is a really great opportunity for you to be with us in this continuous learning, I'm hoping, and sharing. But you can also visit our Grandmother's Voice YouTube channel. In the video section, we have all of our videos there. Most will be up for a short time, but some will be up for a long time. So today is the beginning of our From the Beginning little series that we've put together through our conversations. And so I'd like to leave it to Uncle Mike and Grandmother Renee Thomas Hill to take it from here. You want to go?
Appreciate being invited to spend some time with you all. I think what we're going to do when we start now is look at some pictures and some words, and I'm going to step back and let Renee take you through what we call in Mohawk, Kanonhwheratonshera. So this is the greeting. It's called Kanonhwheratonshera, and it gives us a chance to come into the present moment altogether, to remind ourselves of everything that's so important for our life. And so I'm going to be quiet and let Renee walk us through it.
Yeah.
Renee?
Yeah. When we were young, we were always told to bring our minds together. It was always the grandmother that taught us to come and acknowledge all creation. And so we bring our minds together. We have gathered. And that's what they say, we have gathered. We bring together all our minds. And at this time, we're going to take a moment and we're going to reconnect also to the higher powers. And we're bringing them in so that we can have this time of relationship, renewing our relationship with all creation. And so at this time, we say much love and much gratitude for the gathering of our minds.
Yeah.
And now we think of our mother, the earth. This is a time of reconnecting, renewing our relationship with our mother, the earth, because every day we see all that love she gives to us. She guides us every day, and she shows us unconditional love. We have never been abandoned. We have never been neglected, for she is always sharing her love with us. And so we give you greetings and gratitude. Now our minds are one.
Yeah.
And now we see the waters, because this is the beginning where we started from here on earth. We give thanks to all the waters, from the smallest trickle to the streams, to the creeks, to the rivers, to the lakes, to the oceans, and back to the sky world. We give thanks for the water that is also in us, the water that sustains us and keeps us. The water has the power to renew us every moment of our life. And so that is why we always give thanks. We hold that in our hearts, because our water that is inside us, we feel, is to be acknowledged and felt love. And so we say, we are forever grateful for the spirit of the water. Now our minds are one.
Yeah.
Now we look and we see the fishes, the many families of fishes. They have their duty and their responsibility. Their duty is to make sure that we are taken care of. Are we not at this time very blessed that they are still fulfilling their duty? And we see that each day that we are blessed. And so we feel the contribution that they are giving to us. And so we give greetings and gratitude. Now our minds are one.
Yeah.
And now we see the plant life. Oh, what a magnificent gift from our Mother, the Earth. It is like the hair of our mother, so soft and so gentle. But all of them have been ingrained with so much love. We can feel the love as we touch her. We can feel the love that is in all the plants because of the fragrance and then the smell. And so our minds are one. And so we look
Yeah.
forward. Now we see our food, our sustenance. We have been very blessed that our Mother, the Earth, has so much love, that everything that we are given is from that love of her. From her breasts, we are given the corn. From her stomach, we are given the squash. And from her fingers, we are given beans. We are assigned these gifts from her, for they are following their instruction on keeping us well, so be it in our minds.
Yeah.
And now we look at the medicines. For all around us, there is medicines. They know each and every one of us by our breath. They say they are near us, and we have only to look and see what is under our feet, for they have been guided to take care of us. It is again the love of our Mother, the Earth, and so we gather up in our minds and we give thanks for all the things that they have provided for us, and that is a continuation of our life, and so we give thanks. Now our
Yeah.
minds. And now we see the animals. Oh, what a blessing. For they were our first supporters in life. The animals, they know their duty. Their duty is to support and help us to continue our journey in life. For they give of their flesh, they give of everything so that we can continue our world. And we gather up our minds to know that they are still fulfilling their duties. And so we say, with much love, we are very grateful that they are still here and that they are continuing their contribution of making us well. So be it in our minds.
Yeah.
And now we look at the trees. There are many families. We look and we see and we send our love and our gratitude to the one that is a reminder of why we are here. We are here as we see the tree of life. It yet is also the tree of peace. We look and see the maples that is also the leader of all trees. And we look and we see that they are still fulfilling their job, their duty and their responsibility of taking care of our Mother the Earth and also taking care of all creation. For it is your gift that we have seen every day, our breath, and we give thanks. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful.
Yeah.
And now we come to the birds. We put our minds together as one and give thanks for all the different families of the birds. They greet us in the morning and they teach us how to greet each day. And they also are assigned how we are to greet each night. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful, for they sing the songs that the Creator has sent to us to renew our spirit, to tell us of the changing of the season, but most of all to tell us when there is great change that it will come. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful.
Yeah.
Now we see the four winds. The four winds, we are given gratitude to the four winds. They are assigned to bring the message of the time of the ancient times to watch over all creation. They are here to bring changes, and they have been assigned for each of us to know that there is going to always be change, so that we can always, as they say, be aware and be prepared. And so it is in our minds to be forever grateful for the gift that they bring us, and that is the message of Creator and all creation. So let it be in our minds to be forever grateful.
Yeah.
I get very emotional because of this saying all these things, because I feel the love of our grandfathers, the thunder beings. And so it is with that my tears are flowing, because that is a continuation. The thunder beings have shown us how to release. The thunder beings have come to show us the renewal of the land, the air, and the water. They have been given us the understanding, the renewal of all life, all creation. And so we give greetings and gratitude, for they are still fulfilling their duty. And at this time, we give thanks to their helper, the thunder, the bolt, the lightning. And they are instructed to, as they say, put those that will bring grief to us. And so we give, at this time, we acknowledge them too. When we think of the thunder beings, they always have the helpers. And so let it be in our minds that when we look and see them coming, we are given that sound, the announcement of their arrival, so that when we hear their voices, know that we're being taken care of, that our lives are going to be renewed. So be it in our minds to be forever grateful.
Yeah.
And now we see the son, our eldest brother. We give you greetings and gratitude. We see that each day you travel from across the sky, bringing forth the light of each day. And that is your commitment to renew our lives. And so you have kept this promise that you have made in ancient time to bring forth all the life forces of all creation. And so we give greetings and gratitude. For you have lit the fire of all of us. When we see you in the sky world, we are knowing there is a continuation of life. And so we give thanks. With one mind, we give greetings and thank you to our brother, the sun.
Yeah.
And now we see our grandmother, the moon. At this time, she is here. If you look into the sky world, you'll see that she has been here. Today, we put our minds together and give thanks to our oldest grandmother, who lights up the nighttime sky. She is the nighttime sun. And so you are the leader of all the women all over the world. And you have been given the power to know each one of us. How beautiful that you know each one of us, that you have seen the birthing of each one of us, and you know what is in our hearts and what is in our mind. We are truly blessed to have you in the sky, to continue to guide us and to show us so that we can have an understanding of life, so that there is always being prepared for the changes that is to come. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful. Oh.
Yeah.
And now we see the stars. We give thanks to the stars. Oh, they are like the beautiful, beautiful adornment of our grandmother. They have been assigned to watch over us. We have been given them to, as they say, to help us, because the star world is a reminder of where we have come from. She brings the dew so that it is a reminder of that love. It's like a grandmother looking and watching over us, and how she has so much love. And when she looks around on her loved ones, the love, that unconditional love, drops down onto the all creation and knows how much we are loved. And so we gather up our minds before she sends us these gifts to remind us that we are always loved. And so we give greetings and gratitude. And so our minds are one.
Yeah.
And now we give thanks to our ancestors, for they have made a promise since the ancient time, for the freedom and the strength that is needed for us. They have given us their support. They have always been there for us, though we have not been aware. We now are becoming more aware of what they are doing for us, for they are fulfilling a lot of the commitments that they made to us. We will give thanks. We will give greetings to them, for they are still here. And so let it be within our minds to forever think of them and always say thank you to them. And so we give greetings and gratitude to our ancestors. And so let it be in our minds to be forever grateful.
Yeah.
And now we think of the star beings. We give thanks to you, the beings who dwell beyond the stars. We see them in the medicines and in energies that protect our health. We see that you, the star beings, are the helpers of the great mystery spirit of creation. We greet and thank you, star beings, for helping those who walk among us, the gifted one, who helped us live happy and healthy lives as on our mother the earth. With our gratitude, with our love, we are very grateful that you are still fulfilling your duties. We give greetings and gratitude to the star beings. Now our minds are one.
Yeah.
And now we give thanks to our enlightened teachers. They have always been around us. So today we gather our minds to greet and give thanks to the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. We have forgotten how to live in harmony. You remind us of the way. the way that we are to be, how to live as human beings, as the original people. We are the helpers of the mysterious spirit of creation. And we, with one mind, are very grateful that you are still fulfilling your duty. It is with this gift that we give back to you our love and appreciation for all that you do for our children and our future and for the past, that you have been a part of our life. And so we say, with much love and gratitude. And now, the Creator, there is much love in my heart. We turn our thoughts to the Creator who has made all things good, great, in the great mysterious Spirit, who guides us and greets us every day of our life. For the gifts that we have been given, has put everything in place for us that we need to live to have a good life here on earth. And we are gathering our minds. And in this time, just take this moment and think of all the things that He has provided. And at this time, there is so much more that you cannot count the things that He has given us. And so we gather up our minds and we give thanks for this wonderful gift that we have been given. Is someone that has shown unconditional love, no matter if we have gone astray. The Creator has always loved us and has always been there to support us in our journey in life. And so we give greetings and gratitude.
Yeah.
And now their closing words of gratitude. We have arrived to the time where we have completed our words and have united our minds. For all the things we named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If there is something that we have forgotten, we did not mean to offend anyone. We leave it to each of you to send out your own greetings and give thanks in your own way, in our place. So now we give that moment to acknowledge each and every creation that the Creator has given to us. And we say, with much love and much gratitude, we give thanks. And now we have arrived. We have arrived at that time when our minds have been put in such a good place. And when I used to hear my grandma talk about this place, I would see her cry because she felt the love. And I have seen that in the longhouse of many of our people. And so we give thanks to all this. And so this is why my tears flow so easily, because it is filled. And it has known so much love from the Creator in all creation.
Blessings to you all. Yes. So, this Thanksgiving is something that is said to be part of what we do when we wake up in the morning. Each individual, they use it to open meetings, but a lot of the old elders say that, you're supposed to actually think of these things yourself and as you start your day. And as you start your day, you have a feeling of gratitude and thankfulness that fills up your life. And it's your responsibility as a human being to have your connection to all of that creation that Grandmother Renee was reminding us about, and that you greet Mother Earth. Again, my mother, the Earth, and so you actually talk to all of those things, and it fills you with greetings. And then the one that we do say when we have our meeting is "Anegadine, huachide, yungwa shanido, yagwadid wanio ne yagwayanon hawi, jinyo jieti satsa the gaa, wahadir wagero ne wahine yonkiawi ne yagwajir gero, ne yagwastado hadye jiskanaji, yagwada don jat on guadisa, jion guadiholda, ganonaji, yagwayata erga ego. Yet you go adano de had gone sadanon, ye radio nao, negadi, yon kaok, tadigweni, ayon kini gohero, ne, gadine, yet you go ha una, nona do hetsto, negadi ne go a sego nona do doro, adano, the hadigon sa de non ye ne radio donsa e toniot, yogo wenenegos. And that's how they open meetings. And so that's why we're doing that later in the day. And what he said is, what we say is, the family of one long house, who live in one long house, are a free and independent people who are governed by covenants made in very ancient times by our ancestors and handed down to us, their children. And these covenants protect our right and our freedom to govern over our own affairs in our own way. And we consider these covenants to be a precious inheritance of our children and our future generations, and no one can take that away from us. And we say all these words before all our family of the long house, of one long house who've gone before us, all of you who are a family of one long house who are with us yet, and before all the family of one long house yet to be born. That's how we open our meeting. And I'm glad that you're all here. I take it that what we're going to talk about today is coming up in a second, but that's my greeting to you, and I'll leave it to Renee to.
How I was also taught was when you first thing when you stretch, it's like your body getting ready to acknowledge and you notice when you get up in the morning, that's the first thing you do. It's your body. It's your body in that moment to get ready to give thanks. And this is what is so important is when you're learning to stretch, you go, oh yeah, I got to. And then you know what? They called us party animals when the visitors came because we were always going like this. They said, oh, those people there, they're always celebrate. I mean, they're always acknowledging and they're celebrating. And so that's why when you see us, we're always dancing. We're always being happy. We're always being, even there are times when we're sad. We have to look up and say, oh, we're going to get through this because we have that. And that's what gives us the power to stand up again and be strong. Because spirituality is just a simple thing as saying thank you. Isn't that easy? How many of you can say thank you? And that's comes from your heart. That comes from your heart. And that's why we are here today to recognize this journey that we're going on together. And so I turn it back to Mike.
Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where we're going to go and a roadmap. And so the roadmap starts with what we have, and this comes from the elders where I live, where they say that everything moves in four directions, and all of that, four winds. But what we talked about with our people is that we start off with Kanonhwheratonshera, which is what we started off with today. And we're going to talk about Kanonhwheratonshera or creation is the way we're going to talk about it, with a creation story and highlights of the creation story, but also the important parts that are in what we showed you earlier. And then we're going to go next week to talk about what they call Kayaneresherakowa. It's translated in English as the Great Law, but what it really means, if you were to actually, in the thinking about it, it means a magnificent goodness. Mm-hmm. So that's about a magnificent goodness about how we're to get along. And then in the third week, we're going to talk about Kariwhiyo, which is that time after the American Revolution. And it's the good message. And there's lots to be talked about there, because there's a lot of that has gone from before the American Revolution into the modern times that was helped by Kariwhiyo. And then the fourth one is a Kakaratsikowa, the great swamp elm. And that's the time when they talk about when there's going to be big changes to the world and big changes to humanity that we're going to be ready for. So where we're going to start today is Kanonhwheratonshera, and that's with the Thanksgiving. And we'll just leave this one up here because you can go find this stuff out yourself of your libraries, or you can talk. Jan B. Hewitt, who's a Tuscarora linguist in the 1800s wrote down 3 different versions of the cosmology that we're going to talk about, or how things can, cosmology is a fancy way of saying our understanding of how things come to be the way they are. It can't be any, I don't think, cosmology is kind of one of those jargons that makes everybody go, whoa. We're going to talk about physics or science? No, what it is how things come to be the way they are. And if you notice, as grandmother Renee was reminding us of all of the different things, it goes back to, I remember an elder saying one time, some young people who were studying language came up and wanted to do the Thanksgiving address. So they asked, whose version do you do? And he went, what? Whose version of the Thanksgiving address do you do? And he goes, I do my own. And they go, well, you don't do, and they named off a bunch of names of people who had Thanksgiving addresses published, you know. And he said, Liz, here, I'll teach you how to do the Thanksgiving address. What I want you to do is walk over there into that field, and then I want you to think about yourself. Don't think about nothing else. Just think about yourself. And then the best way to do it is look at the earth, your mother, and talk to her and tell her you're thankful for what she gave. And then look at the little grasses, and then look at the food plants, and then look at the trees, and then look at the water, and think about the fish in the water and the power that's in there, and then look at the trees and the wind that comes from the trees that fills our lungs, and then the birds and their song, and so on, all the way up to the sun, the moon, the stars, and so on. And he said that's how you can remember how to do the to be thankful, and it comes from your heart too. And don't worry if you can't remember how to say the words in Onkwehonwe, because those things can actually feel your spirit. They actually feel what you're thinking. And this is how it was said. So one of the things Renee and I talk about is the binary, and we'll come back to that in a little while, which is the 2 row. But one of the things that's important about this is the signs and symbols of our culture that communicate our conception of the good life. The good life. And that all you heard in there is about nourishment and sustenance that helps us with our health and our happiness. And how that was said by the old ones is Nagadi, isa eti satsrigawa jiro. Jiniga virus, ne kwajira daje dano, und garagana gosige, ohunda, ne utkanyosige, ohunda utkanyosige, oneganos gonas, etonigariwas and gadaje, ne skageratsera. The one dish is what they called that. We'll all eat from one dish. So you could say that whole Thanksgiving that Renee helped remind us about is like one dish. Everything is in there that is put there for our happiness and our health and our life, and we share that. As far as as it says, as long as the sun still rises and the grass grows green and the waters flow. This is how it's said. So, and to think about when they say Kanonhwheratonshera, they translate that as the Thanksgiving address. But if you look at it, we're greeting where. It's the awareness. It's all the where that is important for our happiness in life. And when we talk about the creation, we know that above in the sky world, the people up there were dancing, and there was food and games, and everybody was happy, plenty to eat. Some skullduggery was going on, but at the same time, up there in the sky world, it was the good life. The good life. And it happened all the time. And so then that idea has come down through with Sky Woman to the earth, and we'll talk about that part of it in a little while, but that's our duty then, is to have the good life as best as we can on earth. That's what is our good life. It's eating, dancing, happiness. Everybody gets to be happy. And that's the 3 words that we see out of all that. Everybody gets to eat. Everybody gets to be healed. Everybody gets to be happy. And that's the good life that we saw up in the sky world in our creation story. That is then our duty and responsibility to try to live here on Earth and enact it on Earth. Can you add anything to that, Renee?
Yes, there. Everyone forgets that even to dance is like to us. That was the first dance that came here, was to give thanks to our mother. I mean, to the earth, to the land, on the back of the turtle. That was so important. I'm so happy to hear. When I hear dance all the time, it's in all of us. And when we move our feet, when we do that askane, it's almost like we're patting our mother, and saying, "Oh, you've done a good job. You've done a good job." And when our feet go like this, it's also sending that energy that we have of feeling so grateful. And so when us women, it feels so powerful. It goes right. It just goes completely through, and you can see when our women are dancing, it's amazing. The joy that comes up just by doing it, it's like a blood memory. And when you're on the floor and you're dancing and you're just giving that shuffle, and it's just like a heartbeat, the heartbeat of all creation. And we go around, and they even say for those that cannot go around, stand near. I mean, sit near, so you can hear the vibration of that. And so when all creation hears the vibration, it raises the level of, as they say, goodness and wellness. And so that is that good life, because when our body's in motion, that's what the Creator created, was our bodies were to be in motion. And to eat, we have to prepare it. We have to get things ready. We have to make sure that we do it in a good way. And so when we talk about the food, there's motions. And again, that comes from that energy inside. And then there's that game. You know, we had a very, I know we have a very loving Creator, because He created laughter. What better way you see it when you have games? There is laughter. There is skills you learn from games. There is a lot of life skills you learn. And so this is what the Creator give us, to learn life in a good way. And so there are so many teachings of that when you have these things in motion. This is why we say healing. Everyone deserves healing. Just by doing, we are in that place of being healed.
So I'm going to do an abridged version, a short version of the creation story, but I think there are key parts of it. It takes a long time to reiterate what the story is about, but let me start. In the sky world, there was a woman and her husband. And I know there are different versions of the story, and just like there are different versions or different ways of being thankful, and that even though there was slides with stuff written down on it that was in front of you and Renee, she had the heart to actually take that and make it her own. She actually owned it, you know, and that's a part of it. So here's how we go. So up there in the sky world, at the beginning of time, there was a man and a woman. And she and her husband saw all that was going on. They called him the Sky Chief. And so the husband, and, you know, there were all kinds of spirit entities up there as well. I'll leave that out of it, but go straight to how things came to be the way we understand them with the Kanonhwheratonshera. So you have then the man and the woman were digging around a tree up there in the heavens. And as they were digging around in the tree to plant things, there was a hole poked through the sky. So there were three different ways of viewing it. One is she looked through the hole, and while she was looking through the hole, the Creator took her. What they could see through the hole was us, and it was pretty awful. They saw what they saw. It was grim, it was horrible, and we were barbaric, and it was just, the life down here was not a very nice thing that was going on. So they looked out through the hole, and one view is the Creator took this woman and placed her through the hole and sent her down here. That's one view. The other view is that while she was looking through the hole, her husband pushed her through the hole and she came down here. And there's still another one that says that she was looking through the hole and she was overcome by her feelings and actually came through the hole herself. Mm-hmm. And on the way through, in all versions, she grabbed a strawberry plant and a tobacco plant, right? So she came through. As she came through, the birds saw her coming through the sky, so they flew up to soften her landing on the back of a turtle. And she had her strawberry and her tobacco plant. And so while she was there, she had all the animals went down to the bottom of the sea to bring her some soil. And only one could do that. Now, the beaver, the muskrat, we're not sure. Everybody has a different way of saying it, and that's okay. But one of the creatures came up and had a soil in the palm. And she took the soil, but the creature perished on the way up to the surface. But she took the soil and put it on the turtle's back and planted her strawberry and tobacco plant. And to smooth out her the soil on the turtle's back, she began to do the shuffle dance, the very first woman shuffle dance. Honey-oh, 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 hi-ya, honey-oh, hi-yo-hine, hi-yo-hine, hi-no-ya, hey-ya, yo-ho! So she flattened the soil out, planted her strawberries and her tobacco. Well, before she came down through the sky, she was carrying a baby, and she had the baby on the earth. So her daughter, as they say, became also had a baby, and the father was the north wind, and she was having children, and as she got to be older, she birthed the two children. One came out in a normal, healthy birth, but the other one kicked his way from her side, and she perished. So the grandmother, Sky Woman, and the left-handed son and the right-handed son buried her. And out of the mound of her grave grew all of the food plants. But then the boys began to argue with each other because they began to argue over who is responsible for her, and they got into a big fight over that. The left-handed twin who booted his way out of her side was actually babied by the Sky Woman because she, wanted to help him to be a better person. But that's part of the story. But they began to fight, and the right-handed twin hit the left-handed twin, and the blood that came out of his mouth fell on the ground, and it became flint. And flint then was picked up by the humans and turned into weapons of war. And then the weapons of war continued, and it became very dark as sorcerers, warlords, and cannibals began to dominate the land. And so we went into the dark times. Now, if you notice a pattern here, I'll come back to it because I'm going to be quiet in a minute and let Renee sort this out for us. But here's what happened. The sky became corrupted when they pushed a hole through it. But we were healed when the birds flew up and brought her to the earth. The animals brought her soil to plant her strawberry and tobacco, and we were healed by that, but one perished. But we were healed when she did the first dance. She gave birth to a daughter who had two sons, but she died in childbirth. But we were healed again when out of the mound of her grave grew all of our food plants. Mm-hmm. But then we became corrupted again when the boys started fighting, and one of them delivered the weapons of war to our people. and we entered the dark times. So there's a pattern there you can see of corruption is always followed by healing. Corruption is always followed by healing. Corruption is always followed by healing. As we get further away from the celestial tree or the perfection or the good life that we saw in the sky world, when we come here, we move further away from that perfection, and we heal, though, that corruption. And and I'll just stop with this final thought. There's another tradition in the world that says you were born with original sin, and we need to fix you. So you're born with original sin, and you're going to get fixed. Our version is you're born perfect, but the world corrupts you. But it's our people and your friends and your family that help you to heal. Two different points of view that are two-row. We're together in this together, and the other one is that we're in conflict with each other, right? So I'll stop there again by saying corruption is followed by healing, but you come here perfect, but you become corrupted, and there are many compassionate people that will help you to heal, whereas another view says that you're born corrupt. You're born with an original sin that we're going to fix you on the way.
Yes, I like the story. We need to hear that story because that's the beginning of duality of life. Those twin boys was to represent duality of life. And so what we would come to know, people have referred it as the left and the right, the good and the evil. There are many stories, just like said, there are many stories. And one of the stories that I am partial to is being a woman, you really learn a lot about life because of that creation story. You learn your life skills. And one of the life skills that we really need is the duality of life. How many of our, and that's how I remember my grandma says, she says, if you're impatient, there's consequences and it will cause much grief. You see, that's how I look back and see that left-handed twin. He was impatient. He was impatient to go another way. And so what did he do? Because of his choice, he caused much grief. And that was the loss of his mother. And so being patient is, again, that journey that all of us take. And we go through that. This is why we were given passage, right? To learn how to deal with that. To learn how to recognize the duality of life. And so when she passed, again, the healing is always happening. It's like that balance of life. We're always, whenever we're having the impatient, we have healing, or being impatient, we always have to come back to healing, because even your body has that. We have to be patient in order to heal, but we're always impatient. We want instant cure. And so we have to learn about that twin that's in us. It's a twin in all of us. And so even from that baby, when he came out the wrong way, that caused so much grief, the death of that mother, because she never got to hold them. She never got to give that mother love. She gave it by her being, because she was so pure. She brought forth all those things that we use. And one of the things is from her breasts, that corn. Again, there's medicine for the grieving, medicine for the loss, because it was always, that was a reminder that there may be mothers that may pass away, but there will be children that will be raised that need to be nurtured. And so we have our ceremony. I mean, when we're gathering corn, and then we'll see that sacred corn, the tip, then it's like a nipple on a corn. You take that and you save that, for there's going to be a child that may have lost their mother. And I was very blessed that I had good friends. They give me that, because you see, it happened. My daughter journeyed on, and she left a little girl, and she was crying. And so that medicine, again, grief, it's always bringing back that balance. Whenever there is a disruption, there is always back healing. And that is why the Creator gave us this blessing to know that all these foods that were in a time where we've forgotten how to eat, we had snacks, and those snacks was to help us. And we need to get back to our foods, because this is what our mother gave us. These seeds have the responsibility of healing, of taking away the sickness, but we're not eating the right foods again, and that's why. And so there's always that balance of healing and disruption. That's what how it was explained to me. There's always, and that's, I'm getting too fast to myself. I better slow down, and I'm going to turn it back, because it takes more than an hour.
Yeah. Kanonhwheratonshera is the right-handed twin who's said to be holding up the sky today. And Zewiskara is the one who's the left-handed twin who's supposed to be in the darkness. But he's not bad, because
No.
Zewiskara brought the medicine beings to the world, right? So there's those things to think about with the binaries that Renee was talking about. And one of the important parts of the binary is this. Sky Woman is said to be buried on the moon. In the way some people tell the story, when she perished, she was buried on the moon, which means that from Sky World down is the women's power. And that's why the women have a say over everything, is because that's where their power is located, with Sky Woman down to the world, right? That doesn't mean women can't do ceremonies or have their own ceremonies and ways of looking after themselves. Yes, they do. But an important part with the left-handed twin story is this. He brought the medicine beings from on the other side of the sky world. And if you notice the story, Sky Woman came down here, but the Sun Chief stayed up there. No. And I told this story before, I think last week, about the binary. The old woman who says, was asked by an anthropologist, what's the difference between men and women? And she said, women have babies and men have visions, or something like that. And, oh, is that all women are supposed to do, is have babies? No, that's not what she was saying. She was saying from the sky world down is the woman's power is there. And because Sky Woman is supposedly buried on the moon guides the women. Every 28 days, whether they want it or not, no matter how old they are, every 28 days, 13 times a year, the universe comes to them. It's natural. Whereas men don't have that, like the left-handed twin. We have to go and reach out and embrace the universe, because we don't have that natural gift that the women do. So we work at our ceremonies, we work at all of these things that we do to embrace the universe, and because we know and are taught that Sky Chief stayed out there. So there's something going on out there that is more important for the men to focus on, to govern over them. And that's why they talk about the sun governs over the men and the moon governs over the women. So I mentioned that because it sounds kind of space age or science fiction and so on, but it's a way of understanding how things came to be the way they are, so that we don't have formulas and mathematical formulas and physics calculations and all that. We just try to talk like people and say, women are different than men, but we're on the same road together, and we have a duty and responsibility. So at the start of today's talk, we were reminded of all the duties and responsibilities that everything that we see has, and they have a gift. Men have a gift, women have a gift.
It is so important that, too, we recognize that in those gifts, I was always told it is the men that can hunt for a reason. And the men it was easier for the men to bring down an animal. the women, we have too much compassion and too much love for all creation. And so that was the purpose of the men. And the women were to give her the purpose of nurturing. And so when today, when a man goes out hunting and he finds out that his wife is with child, he has to step back because this is part of honoring and respecting life. And so now he must rely on his good friends to help and support him, and in turn he can do that for them when their family is increasing. And I have to laugh because it's so true. My son one year, he said, Ma, there's nothing, I can't find anything. And I thought of that, but it stayed there in my mind. And then not too long after, he calls me up and he says, Ma, you're going to be a grandma. I said, right. I knew it because if the animals, the animals know. And so he was with child, and because he had the smell of birth, life giving. And so this is why there's that balance in life again. So, but the women, they were also able to hunt. That was later on. They were taught because we had to live and support each other. We had to live in that balance. And men also learned how to cook because, when we went off hunting, they were able to do all these things. They also had to learn all these things that we all had to learn, that balance, how to handle ourselves. And that's what every father tries to teach their daughters, is how to be dependent on themselves. And also the mothers teach their son to be supportive, to be a good mate, to help. And that's what that relationship is. This hand represents the two families. And this is these are the twins that come into your family. So this family has the grandparents, it has the aunties and uncles, and has the cousins, and most of all have the ancestors. So that's what makes it. We all have, our hands represents our duties. And so this is very good at women of understanding, because we do this and we do this. And so it shows us that duality again. We have that ability to always be able to compromise, as they say, to make things right.
And as we continue our talks over the next 3 or 4 weeks, or 7 weeks, I think we're going to do sessions. We're going to talk about being mean and hard feelings. And that comes out from these way we're talking about Thanksgiving today, and creation is that corruption followed by healing, corruption followed by healing. So we're down to the place now where the left-handed twin and right-handed twin got into a fight. Blood came down on the ground, turned into flint, and people took that flint and made weapons of war. And that entered into the dark times. And the dark times were we were ruled by cannibals, warlords, and sorcerers. And as the old ones said, the elders said, the people were driven to ruin and despair by corrupt elders, by corrupt leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Corrupt leaders drove the people to ruin and despair, and we entered into the dark times. And so next week, when we get together, we're going to talk about the magnificent goodness, because there was, as was mentioned, a enlightened teacher who came to us. He carried the peace, and he brought that in and brought us out of the dark times by teaching about balance, that's peace, having a practical, reasonable mind, being reasonable, and the power that comes from that to do good things. And so they call that the Great Law, and we're going to talk about that next week. But I just wanted you to see how the connection is between the creation story and out of that with the Kanonhwheratonshera that Renee did at the start, organizes our thinking into understanding how things come to be the way they are, how we are dependent on that, interdependent with all of that creation, and that out of that thinking and organizing of the way we reflect on and pay homage to and respect all of that, we have a feeling of thankfulness in our heart and gratitude, and that changes us because being fully alive right in this present moment is where we need everybody. We need you all right here now. So when we start off thinking about how things came to be, now we are right here together in this present moment. So corruption in the sky, perfection in the sky world, the tree of peace up there. We got away from the tree of peace and it became corrupt when the birds healed us by bringing her to the earth. But we became corrupt when the animal died, bringing the soil up. But we were healed again when she did the first woman's dance to plant the strawberries and the tobacco. And she had a daughter, but the daughter died and we became corrupt again, giving birth. But out of the mound of her grave came all of our food plants. So we're healed again. Then the boys got into a fight and delivered the weapons of war to humanity, and we became corrupt again. And that's where we'll end with the corruption, because now we're going to do the healing next week. I asked Jody if you got one of the pictures of the slides at the end. I'll just go through them fast. Yeah.
Which slides would you like? I thought you were calling us in the room.
Oh, well, we
Bring
can
us
come.
all together.
We can come back to that next time though, because it's slides of the mound cities. The mound, right? Remember that?
Sure. Would you like to show that now? I can.
Yeah,
We still have a few minutes.
I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I want to show pictures to folks who are listening in, so that they can see that how they took that conception of the good life that people had and actually built a civilization based on the idea. So here's a mound. That's a monument to Sky Woman, by the way, because they buried people in there who were important to their society, people who had done good things. Go again. How we lived with timber from the trees, and we lived in these kinds of timber construction was all across the whole continent. Go again. And we also had timber construction that existed around here. So it wasn't just poles covered over with bark shingles. They actually had a technology here, and it was a pretty good developed civilization. It was very sophisticated with peg nails that were made into timber. Let's have another one. Oh, the other way. The other way. And the mound cities again. This is a picture of what they call the Emerald Mound, as you saw. But on top of that, these were our colleges and universities, by the way, and there were a lot of them. This is where people like Renee would live, and young people would come there to study with her, right? This is how they did it. Masters of the indigenous arts and sciences would live at these places, but also a mound again, paying homage to Sky Woman's daughter. Another one. Again, as you can see, and I'm not going to tell you what you're looking at. You can see for yourself that these depictions of an organized, sophisticated society, or actually in those days we were a civilization. We were an indigenous civilization. And the mounds, again, paying homage, monuments to Sky Woman's daughter, the one who gave us all of our food. Go again. Again, Cahokia, a very famous one. But we weren't exempted from that too. This is Ganandagan, Fort Hill, Ganandagan, near Arundiquate or Gariondakwa in Mohawk by Rochester. So there is a village site where the town of Ganandagan was built, but there's also one called Fort Hill nearby. And that was where there were granaries. And when French explorers came through there 300-400 years ago, they were so impressed because they had longhouses, and longhouses weren't just where people lived. Longhouses were also storage facilities, buildings. They also had tanneries in there where people tanned hides. So it was a well-organized society where they didn't just wander around in the forest eating nuts and berries and bonking rabbits on the head and all of that kind of stuff, the way we're usually depicted as primitive man. We were well organized and had a good life. What's the next one you got there, Jody? There. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Wow. I wish I
Thank
had
you.
this in school.
Renee actually has to leave for another meeting, so this was all just wonderful, and the mounds, like, it's all making sense to us now. What we're doing for Grandmother's Voice, right?
Yep.
We need to build Renee one of those mounds. Casey, Renee, we're doing it. We're gonna look for mountains around here somewhere. And we're all going to come and do teachings with you and all the other grandmas and grandpas that are doing this work. And what an amazing afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much.
So excited for the rest of the week, or the rest of the times to come.
Mm-hmm.
Take care.
Appreciate your kind attention to what we had to say today, and I look forward to seeing you at noon next Friday.
Then next Friday, 2 Fridays. We're doing every other Friday. Go ahead, Renee, you can exit, or else I can kick her out. Because we're going to use this moment for an opportunity, Mike, just to kind of, I guess, give you another minute to finish if you have something to add. But we really wanted to just talk about our speaker series next week, which is the residential schools survivors and thrivers, just a group of Indigenous residential school survivors that they worked with me to build this series, and I'm just so honored. I really truly am trying to figure out what I did to deserve this. I'm on the phone all day with elders and people that have amazing stories to share, and I want to have it's just I'm going to share. I don't know if I'm going to write a book. Maybe I'll write a book. But anyway, Uncle Mike, you're so fun. And what we're doing is just awesome. And Kelly, thank you, Kelly, for joining us. She brought her students in, and she said, this was a wonderful teaching for my students new to Indigenous studies in grade 12. And you know what? Please share this with all of your other friends that you know and faculty. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some really beautiful messages here, and you are more than welcome to show up at our YouTube channel, which has amazing videos that we started doing from last year, beginning of the pandemic. And so a lot of wonderful things. And then Sherry, I think you have something to say and to add.
No, just thank you so much, Mike. This has just been fantastic. And if I was in university, I would be following you to learn from you. History has always been something that I've always felt so near and dear, that our stories, I'm Cree, so I'm learning your stories in this traditional area, but my Cree stories really resonate with me as well. And, just to sit around those mounds, to learn from our leaders and our intellects and our knowledge holders. It's been truly an honor. It truly has been, Mike. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Maybe you could, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Grandmother's Voice YouTube channel.
Doing advertisement.
And it's actually live right now. It's actually streaming live right now through really wherever we want it to go, but we've just done Grandmother's Voice Facebook, Grandmother's Voice YouTube, and our Speak Up and Empower platform, which I'd like to just acknowledge for this space to be offered for us. This is like a television show, right? This is like our own. Mike, you're awesome.
Thohahaken. Join us every week on Grandmother's Voice, our YouTube channel, and we'll be talking about all kinds of different issues, including cultural issues, social issues, economic issues, and where we're going as a people in time and space. That's Grandmother's Voice on YouTube.
Right? You're a champ. I love it. We're doing this.
We're doing
We're
building our own mound.
Yes, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Nyongoa, enjoy the weekend. We'll see
Yes,
everybody
Nyongoa.
on Monday. Just to give you a quick, review, Monday we have Dennis Windigo, Phyllis Webstad from Orange Shirt, and we also have Brian Kahn, who's one of our lead Indigenous leads from Niagara region. There's a lot of amazing things they're going to share that day, but throughout the week, it's just really amazing. This is amazing what we're building.
I know. Yeah. Thanks again.
All right.
Have a nice weekend.